Hello there, you lucky learner. Thank you so much for being here. Remember when we thought dial up internet was fast at 56K? Well, fellow Gen Xers, while we were busy perfecting our aim away messages, something incredible was brewing in the tech world. You've seen ChatGPT, probably Dolly, those generative AI systems that create text and images. Generative AI isn't just another buzzword, it's the same evolution we witness our entire careers, but this time it's personal. Think about it. We went from floppy disk to cloud storage, from MapQuest printouts to GPS. Now there's technology that can write your reports, fix your code, and even help you stay competitive in today's job market. This isn't just something to learn for curiosity's sake. Organizations are using generative AI to speed up work and cut costs, so knowing how to use it is now a real career asset. In these learning modules, you'll follow along as I show you how generative AI can help you at work and with your day-to-day life routines. But first, let's talk about how we got here. What's the biggest tech leap you witnessed in your career? We went from typing DOS commands like dir just to see files to clicking Windows 95 icons to Captain Kirk communicators sitting on our wrists. GPS used to require military-grade equipment. Now our phones find the nearest coffee shop without us asking. Here's what cracks me up though. Everyone's acting like AI is this scary and possibly complex breakthrough, but it's really just the next step in the same journey we've been on since we traded typewriters for computers. The same pattern recognition that taught us to navigate new software is exactly what generative AI does. Remember learning your first new program through trial and error? You'd click around, mess things up, figure out what worked, and gradually you would get better. That's precisely how these AI systems learn, except they're processing massive amounts of data instead of clicking buttons. Under the hood are foundation models, big models trained on internet scale data and transformer architecture that let them weigh context and predict the next word or image element. These large language models work a bit like autocomplete on steroids. Trained on massive data sets, they learn language and patterns, then they predict and generate likely next words, sentences, or image pixels. The learning process mirrors how we master every piece of software we've ever used. These systems process extensive data sets, find patterns in how language works, then use those patterns to generate new content. The more data they analyze, the better they get at understanding what makes sense and what doesn't. So, what exactly is this generative AI technology that everyone keeps talking about? It's simply software that creates new content by learning patterns from existing data. Imagine having a superpowered intern who read everything on the internet, remembered all of it, and can now help you write reports, answer questions, or solve problems based on all that knowledge. This foundation unlocks everything else about how AI actually works in the real world. Once you understand that it's pattern recognition on steroids, the mystery completely disappears. Now that we know what it is, let's talk about why this matters for our careers right now. Because here's the thing, while everyone's worried about being left behind by technology, there's actually huge opportunity staring us right in the face. You've got decades of experience that younger colleagues simply don't have. While they might pick up new apps faster, you understand what actually matters in business and how to navigate real workplace challenges. When was the last time you felt left behind the curve at work because of new technology? Maybe it was when Slack replaced email and suddenly everyone was using channels and threads while you were simply hitting reply all. Or when your company switched to cloud based everything and you spent weeks figuring out where all your files went. Let's be honest about something. We've got this nagging fear that some 25-year-old coding whiz is going to waltz in and make us look like Denver the last dinosaur. They grew up with smartphones and seem to learn new apps just by looking at them. Meanwhile, we're still double checking that we saved our work properly because we remember losing entire documents when computers crashed. Here's what nobody's telling you though. While everyone's panicking about AI taking jobs, smart professionals are quietly using it to become absolutely unstoppable at their current jobs. They're not getting replaced, they're getting supercharged. What's one repetitive task you do every week that you'd rather stop doing? Think about all the mind numbing stuff that eats up your time. Writing status reports that nobody reads but everybody expects, creating meeting summaries that capture who said what about which project, drafting those standard operating procedures that take forever because you have to format everything perfectly and explain every single step. Generative AI crushes this boring work. It writes those status reports in minutes instead of the hours you used to spend staring at a blank screen. It summarizes your meeting recordings automatically. Creating standard operating procedures used to take me weeks of writing, formatting, and revising. Now, I typically spend less than an hour per standard operating procedure, and they all have uniform formatting based on my prompt template. Now, these systems can make mistakes, repeat biases from trained data, and sometimes confidently produce wrong answers like my drunk uncle at the family barbecue. But with proper oversight, these technology amplifies your existing skills instead of replacing them. It's like having a research assistant who never sleeps, never takes vacation days, and never complains about working overtime. You still make the decisions. You still apply your judgment. You still handle the relationships and the strategy, leaving the AI to handle a big chunk of the grunt work. Companies are already seeing massive productivity gains from this stuff. Businesses deploy customer facing chatbots that solve problems instantly. IT departments use these tools to speed up development cycles and modernize legacy applications. Here's your competitive advantage. When you combine your experience with AI's processing power, you become the person who delivers faster, higher quality results while focusing on strategy and relationships. You're not just keeping up anymore, you're setting the pace. Imagine spending your workdays on the stuff that actually moves the needle instead of getting buried under routine tasks. Strategic planning, client relationships, problem solving, innovation, that's career acceleration right there. But here's the best part. You don't need a computer science degree to get started. The learning curve is gentler than you think. Let's start with the tools that actually matter for your daily work. Remember your first day using Windows 3.11 or Windows 95? That intimidating desktop with all those new icons and the start button that nobody explained? You probably spent the first hour just trying to figure out how to open a file. But within a few weeks, clicking and dragging felt completely natural. You weren't even thinking about it anymore. Starting with Gen AI feels exactly the same way. The difference is the learning curve is actually much gentler than mastering those early OSs. You're not memorizing command lines or hunting through nested menus. These tools are designed to understand plain English conversations. Here's where it gets tricky though. There are literally hundreds of AI tools flooding the market right now. Every startup claims their tool is the next big thing. Every tech blog has a different list of must have apps. How do you know which ones are worth your time and which ones are just overdressed hype? Let me break down the most practical starting points based on what you actually do at work. Different models have different strengths. For example, ChatGPT and similar LLMs are great at drafting and summarizing text, while coding assistants like GitHub Copilot help with code generation and translation between programming languages. What we are going to do in this course is utilize a single interface that will provide us access to all the popular LLMs. This will not only save us money in not having multiple monthly subscriptions for multiple LLMs, but it's also going to allow us to keep our prompts and our prompt templates in a single location. We're going to cut costs, ensure we have our Gen AI workflows readily available, and we're going to have the option to utilize mixed use LLMs to supercharge our productivity. And here's a word of warning, security matters. Do not paste confidential company data or personally identifiable information into public models. Use generic examples when you're learning or mask and paraphrase sensitive details. Most companies are still figuring out their AI policies, so protect yourself by keeping proprietary information out of these systems for now. During the learning module, I'll have an entire section covering security. We're going to prescribe to the gradual adoption approach, which will work best for experienced professionals like us. Once you begin following along and seeing the results, you're going to expand on all your other tasks. You're going to be crafting emails with AI, financial planning, event planning, creating health and fitness routines, and a lot more. You're going to walk away with knowledge and skill sets to quickly implement generative AI into your workflows, whether work-related or within your personal life. The bottom line is simple. This technology isn't going anywhere, and we've got the experience to make it work for us instead of against us. Remember, we've adapted to every major tech shift for decades. This one's no different, except this time, we get to be the adopters instead of playing catch up. I'm excited for you to jump in and get started. Stay blessed, and let's go.